Elena Vasquez woke up to silence. The kind of silence that feels wrong, like something important is missing. She reached across the bed, searching for the warmth of her husband's body, but found only cold sheets. She sat up quickly, her heart beating fast. The bedroom looked the same as always. The soft blue light from Saturn's rings came through the window. The clock on the wall showed 3:47 in the morning. Everything was in its place. Everything except Kale. Elena got out of bed and walked through their small apartment on Titan Station. The kitchen was empty. The living room was empty. The bathroom door stood open, showing nothing but darkness inside. She checked every room twice, then 3 times, as if her husband might suddenly appear from behind a chair or inside a closet. Then she saw it. A small device sitting on the knitstand, glowing with a faint purple light. A Scytheran message crystal. Her hand shook as she picked it up and pressed the activation button. Kale's face appeared above the crystal, floating like a ghost in the dark room. His silver skin looked pale. His 4 eyes, usually so bright and confident, now looked down and away from the camera. He could not even look at her while he destroyed her life. "Elena," his recorded voice said, "I am sorry. I cannot be what you need. My family has demanded that I return home. They will not accept our daughter. They say she is impure, a stain on the Vorn bloodline." He paused and took a breath. "I thought I was strong enough to fight them. I was wrong. Please do not search for me. It will only bring you pain. Take care of Myra. She is better off without me." The message ended. The crystal went dark. Elena stood there for a long moment, not moving, not breathing. Then a sound came from the small room next to the bedroom. A soft cry. Mira was awake. She walked to the nursery like a woman in a dream. Her 3-month-old daughter lay in her crib, tiny hands reaching up toward the ceiling. Myra's skin was a soft lavender color, a mix of her mother's brown warmth and her father's silver shine. Her eyes held 2 features at once. The deep brown color came from Elena. The glowing rings around the pupils came from Kale. Elena picked up her daughter and held her close. The baby stopped crying and made a small, happy sound. "It's just us now," Elena whispered. "Just you and me." The next few weeks were the hardest of Elena's life. Before her marriage, she had been a xenolinguist. She spoke 12 alien languages and had worked as a translator for the Earth Federation. She was respected. She was successful. She was someone. Then she met Kale Vorn at a diplomatic conference. He was a commander in the Scytheran Dominion, tall and handsome in the strange way that Scytherans were handsome. He had 4 eyes that sparkled when he laughed. He had a voice like music. He told her she was the most fascinating human he had ever met. Their marriage was supposed to be a symbol of peace between humans and Scytherans. The 2 species had fought a brief but bloody war 10 years earlier. Now, they were trying to be friends. A marriage between a human woman and a Scytheran. Noble seemed like the perfect way to show that the old hatred was over. Elena had believed in that dream. More than that, she had believed in Kale. She had given up her career to follow him to Titan Station, where he served as a military advisor. She had learned his language, his customs, his favorite foods. She had carried his child inside her body for 9 long months, even though the doctors warned her that hybrid pregnancies were dangerous and unpredictable. She had done everything right. And he had left her anyway. The people on Titan Station were not kind about it. The station was home to about 50,000 humans and a few hundred Scytherans. News traveled fast in such a small community. Within days, everyone knew that the Scytheran commander had abandoned his human wife. Some people felt sorry for Elena. They would look at her with sad eyes and speak to her in soft voices, like she was a wounded animal. That was bad enough, but others were cruel. They whispered behind her back, They said she should have known better than to marry an alien. They said her daughter was an abomination, a creature that should never have been born. They said Elena had gotten what she deserved for betraying her own species. The worst part was the money. Kale had handled all their finances. When he left, he took everything except a small account that held enough credits to pay rent for maybe 2 months. Elena applied for jobs, but no one wanted to hire the abandoned alien bride. Her skills meant nothing now. Her reputation was ruined. 1 month after Kale left, Elena received an official message from the Scytheran Dominion. It informed her that her marriage had been legally dissolved under Scytheran law. She was no longer Elena Vorn. She was Elena Vasquez again, as if the past 3 years had never happened. There was no mention of child support, no mention of Mira at all. As far as the Scytheran government was concerned, the child did not exist. Elena read the message while sitting in the station's commissary, trying to buy food with the last of her credits. She wanted to scream. She wanted to break something. Instead, she just sat there, staring at the words on her tablet. "Excuse me," a voice said. "Are you going to order something or just take up space?" Elena looked up. The clerk behind the counter was staring at her with obvious disgust. He was a thin man with a thin face and small, mean eyes. "I'm deciding," Elena said quietly. "Well, decide faster. Some of us have real customers to serve." He leaned forward and lowered his voice. "Maybe you should try the Scytheran section." "Oh wait, they don't want you either, do they? You and that purple freak you're carrying." Elena's vision went red. For a moment, she wanted to reach across the counter and hurt this man. She wanted to make him feel even a small piece of the pain she was feeling. But Myra was in her arms. Myra was always in her arms now, and her daughter needed her to be strong. Elena stood up straight. She lifted her chin. She looked the clerk directly in his small, mean eyes. "Thank you for your time," she said, her voice calm and steady. "I will take my business elsewhere." She walked away without looking back. Her eyes burned with tears she refused to let fall. Her heart felt like it was breaking into 1,000 pieces. But she kept walking. She kept breathing. She kept going. For Mira. Always for Mira. She did not know that someone was watching her. An old man with gray hair and tired eyes, sitting alone in the corner of the commissary. He saw everything. The cruel words. The quiet dignity. The unbreakable strength. And something long dead stirred inside his chest. The first few months were difficult. Elena did not trust Marcus, and she made no effort to hide it. She came to work exactly on time, did her job perfectly, and left the moment her hours were finished. She never smiled at him. She never asked about his life. She treated him like a stranger who happened to pay her salary. Marcus did not push. He gave her space. He let her work in peace. He made sure her paychecks arrived on time and that no one at the station bothered her or her daughter. He did not ask for thanks. He did not expect friendship, but he watched. And slowly, over weeks and months, he saw Elena begin to heal. The job was real. Marcus ran a small consulting firm that helped human businesses work with alien partners. His reputation from the war, dark as it was, opened doors that money alone could not. Species that had once feared humanity now wanted to trade with them. They needed translators, mediators, people who understood both cultures. Elena was perfect for this work. She was brilliant. Marcus had suspected it from the beginning, but now he saw it clearly. Elena could switch between languages like changing clothes. She understood not just the words, but the feelings behind them. She could sense when a deal was going wrong and find ways to fix it. Within 3 months, she was the best employee Marcus had ever had. The money helped too. Elena moved out of her cramped apartment and into a larger unit in a better section of the station. She bought proper food for herself and proper care for Myra. She stopped looking like a woman waiting to drown. Myra grew fast, the way hybrid children did. By her first birthday, she was already walking and saying simple words in both human standard and Scytheran. Her lavender skin grew brighter and healthier. Her strange, beautiful eyes sparkled with curiosity about everything around her. Marcus found excuses to be near them. He would stop by Alana's office to discuss business, then stay to play with Myra on the floor. He would suggest working lunches that somehow always included the baby. He bought toys that were too expensive and pretended they were cheap. Alana noticed. Of course, she noticed. She was too smart not to see what was happening. One evening, after a long day of work, she confronted him. "Why do you care so much about my daughter?" she asked. They were sitting in his office, Myra asleep in a carrier beside Elena's chair. "You buy her gifts. You play with her. You look at her like she means something to you." Marcus was quiet for a moment. He looked at Myra's sleeping face, so peaceful and innocent. "I had a daughter once," he said finally. "Her name was Sarah. She died in the war." Elena's expression softened. "I'm sorry. She was 26 years old. She was brave and kind, and she believed in everything good about humanity." Marcus's voice was steady, but his hands trembled slightly. "She died in my arms, on my ship, fighting a battle I ordered her to fight. I have spent every day since then wishing I could go back and change things." He looked at Elena with his one good eye. "I cannot save Sarah, but maybe I can help Myra. Maybe I can help you. Maybe that means something." Elena did not say anything, but something changed in her eyes. The wall she had built between them cracked, just a little. After that night, things were different. Elena started staying late to talk with Marcus after work. She asked about his past, and he told her things he had never told anyone. He asked about her life before Kale, and she shared her dreams and disappointments. They discovered they both liked old Earth movies and bad coffee and sitting in silence watching the stars. They became friends. Real friends. And then, slowly, they became something more. It happened without planning. A touch that lasted too long. A look that said more than words. A night when Mira was sick and Marcus stayed to help, sitting beside Elena on the couch, both of them exhausted, her head falling onto his shoulder. "This is crazy," Elena whispered. "You are 20 years older than me. You are broken and scarred and haunted by ghosts." "Yes," Marcus agreed. "I am a divorced single mother with a hybrid child that half the galaxy thinks is an abomination. Yes, we should not do this. It will only end in pain." Marcus turned to look at her. In the dim light of the living room, with Myra finally asleep in the next room, Elena had never looked more beautiful. "Everything ends in pain," he said. "That is what life is. Pain and loss and saying goodbye." He reached out and touched her face gently, his rough fingers careful against her skin. "But between the beginning and the end, there can be good things too. Moments that make the pain worth it. People who make us feel alive." Elena leaned into his touch. Her eyes were wet with tears. "I am scared," she admitted. "Kale said he loved me. He said he would never leave. And then he just disappeared. How do I know you will not do the same?" Marcus thought about this question carefully. He owed her an honest answer. "I cannot promise you forever," he said. "I am old. I am sick in ways that doctors cannot fix. Someday, probably sooner than either of us wants, I will die." Elena flinched, but he continued. "But I can promise you this. I will never leave by choice. I will never walk away while I still have breath in my body. I will never abandon you or Mira, no matter what happens, no matter who tries to stop me." He held her gaze, letting her see the truth in his eyes. "I have done many terrible things in my life, but I have never broken a promise. Not once. Not ever. Elena studied his face for a long moment. Then she leaned forward and kissed him. It was a gentle kiss, soft and careful, like two wounded animals learning to trust each other. When it ended, they sat together in the darkness, not speaking. Not needing to speak, Myra cried out from the bedroom, breaking the spell. Elena laughed, a sound Marcus had never heard before. Bright and free and full of something that might have been hope. "Your daughter calls," Marcus said. Elena stood up. But she paused at the doorway and looked back at him. "Our daughter," she corrected. "If you meant what you said, and she is our daughter now." Marcus felt something in his chest expand. Something he had thought was dead forever. It took him a moment to recognize it. Joy. "Our daughter," he repeated. "Yes, I like that." Elena smiled and went to tend to Myra. Marcus sat alone in the dark living room, listening to Elena sing a lullaby in Scythian, her voice sweet and low. He thought about Sarah, dead and gone. He thought about Catherine and David, lost to him forever. He thought about all the friends he had buried and all the enemies he had killed and all the years he had spent waiting to die. And he thought about the future. For the first time in decades, Marcus Cole allowed himself to imagine a future. Not a future of loneliness and regret, but a future of family and purpose and love. It would not be easy. He knew that. Elena was still healing. Mira was still growing. The galaxy was still full of dangers and complications. The Scythian Dominion had not forgotten about the hybrid child who carried the Vorn bloodline, but Marcus had faced worse odds before. He had fought impossible battles and survived impossible situations. He had saved humanity from extinction. Surely he could handle being a father again. He stood up slowly, his old bones protesting, and walked to the bedroom door. Elena was sitting in a chair beside Myra's crib, the baby finally quiet in her arms. "Room for one more?" Marcus asked softly. Elena looked up at him and smiled. "Always," she said. Marcus sat down beside them, putting his arm around Elena's shoulders. Watching Myra sleep, outside, the stars burned cold and distant. Ships came and went from Titan Station. The universe continued its endless business, uncaring and vast. But in this small room, something new had begun. Something precious and fragile and worth protecting. A family. Marcus Cole was 63 years old, and he was tired of being alive. He lived alone in a small apartment on the lower levels of Titan Station. The rooms were simple. A bed, a chair, a table, a window that looked out at the ships coming and going from the docking bays. He did not need much. He did not want much. He was just waiting for the end. Every morning, he woke up at exactly 5 o'clock. Old military habits never died. He would make himself a cup of coffee, sit by the window, and watch the universe move on without him. Sometimes he added whiskey to the coffee. Sometimes he skipped the coffee entirely. The people on Titan Station did not know who he was. That was the way he wanted it. To them, he was just another old man, another piece of human wreckage drifting through space. They did not know that 30 years ago, this same old man had been the most feared human being in the galaxy. They called him the War Titan. During the Cathrani Extermination War, Marcus Cole had commanded the Earth Federation dreadnought Unyielding. The Cathrani were insect-like creatures who believed that all other species were food. They had destroyed 12 human colony worlds in 6 months. They had eaten millions of people, literally consumed them like cattle. The Federation sent Marcus to stop them. What followed was 5 years of the bloodiest fighting in human history. Marcus led his fleet from one battle to the next, never stopping, never retreating. He developed new tactics that other commanders called insane. He pushed his ships and his crews beyond all reasonable limits. He did things that still gave him nightmares. At the siege of Europa, He held the line for 17 days while 300 Federation ships burned around him. The Kethrani threw everything they had at him. Wave after wave of attack ships. Biological weapons that melted flesh from bone. Suicide runs by living bombs. Marcus lost 90% of his crew. He lost his left eye. He lost his daughter, Sarah, who had served as his communications officer. But he did not lose the battle. When reinforcements finally arrived, Marcus Cole was still standing on his bridge, covered in blood and burns, giving orders in a voice that had gone hoarse from screaming. The Kethrani fleet was destroyed. The war turned that day. Within a year, the insect creatures were extinct. Their homeworlds burned to ash by Federation weapons. Marcus became a hero. They gave him medals and promotions and parades. They put his face on recruitment posters. They wrote books about him. They called him humanity's savior, but Marcus knew the truth. He was not a savior. He was a butcher. He had killed billions of living creatures, even if those creatures were monsters. He had sacrificed his own people by the thousands. He had watched his daughter die in his arms, her body broken by Kethrani claws. Her last words a whisper of, "I'm sorry. Dad, sorry," as if she had anything to apologize for. After the war, Marcus tried to live a normal life. He got married to a woman named Catherine. They had a son named David. For a few years, he almost felt like a human being again. Then Catherine left him. She said she could not live with a man who woke up screaming every night. She said she could not love someone who was already dead inside. She took David with her. Marcus had not seen his son in 15 years. He understood. He did not blame her. How could anyone love a monster? So Marcus Cole, the war titan, the butcher of Proxima, humanity's greatest hero, had come to Titan Station to disappear. He wanted to drink himself to death in peace. He wanted to fade away like an old soldier should. Then he saw Elena Vasquez. It was not love at first sight. Marcus was too old and too broken for such foolishness. But there was something about the way she carried herself. The way she stood straight, even when everyone around her was trying to push her down. The way she held her strange-colored baby like the child was the most precious thing in the universe. He watched her for weeks. He learned her routine. Every morning, she walked to the station's job center, hoping someone would hire her. Every afternoon, she returned to her apartment, always alone, always empty-handed. Every evening, she sat in the small park dome, holding her daughter and watching the artificial sunset. Marcus asked questions. He talked to clerks and shopkeepers and anyone else who would give him information. He learned about the Scytheran husband who had abandoned her. He learned about the hybrid baby that no one wanted. He learned about the money running out and the rent coming due and the whole station turning its back on a woman who had done nothing wrong. Something began to burn inside him. It was not love. Not yet. It was anger. Marcus Cole had seen the worst of the galaxy. He had fought monsters and tyrants and things that had no name. He had watched civilizations fall and species die. But nothing made him angrier than seeing good people suffer while everyone else looked away. Elena Vasquez was a good person. He knew it in his bones. She was fighting a battle she could not win, and no one was helping her. No one even cared. Well, Marcus cared. For the first time in years, he cared about something. He made a decision. He would help this woman and her child. Not because he expected anything in return. Not because he wanted her gratitude or her affection. He would help her because it was the right thing to do. Because someone should have done it already. Because maybe, just maybe, helping her would prove that there was still something human left inside him. Marcus went to his computer terminal and began to work. He still had money. He still had connections. He still had favors owed by people in high places. The War Titan was not completely powerless yet. He spent 3 days creating a plan. A job offer that would give Elena income and purpose. An apartment in a better section of the station. Legal protection for her and her daughter. Everything she needed to survive and rebuild her life. On the fourth day, he put on clean clothes for the first time in months. He shaved his face and combed his gray hair. He looked at himself in the mirror and saw an old man with one eye and 2 May scars. "This is foolish," he told his reflection. "She does not want your help. She does not need your pity." But he went anyway. He found her in the park dome, sitting on a bench under a fig tree, holding Mira in her arms. The artificial sun was setting, painting everything in shades of orange and gold. Elena looked tired. She looked beaten, but she still held her head high. Marcus walked up to her and stopped a few feet away. "You're Elena Vasquez," he said. She looked up at him with suspicious eyes. "Who wants to know?" "My name is Marcus Cole, and I have a business proposition for you." He saw her tense up, ready to run or fight. He saw her pull her daughter closer, protecting the child from this strange old man. Good, he thought. She is a fighter. She will need to be. What kind of proposition? She asked. Marcus sat down on the bench, keeping a respectful distance between them. He told her about the job. Translation work. Cultural consulting. Real work that used her real skills. He told her about the salary, which was more than fair. He told her about the flexible hours, which would let her care for her daughter. Elena listened in silence. When he finished, she asked the question he had been expecting. "Why? Why would you help me? You don't know me." Marcus looked at her for a long moment. He thought about lying, about giving her some simple explanation that would make this easier. Instead, he told her the truth. "Because I am tired of watching good people suffer," he said. "And because your daughter deserves better than what this station is giving her." Elena studied his face, searching for the trick, the hidden motive, the trap. Marcus let her look. He had nothing to hide. Finally, she nodded. "Okay," she said. "I will take your job. But if you try anything funny, I will make you regret it." Marcus almost smiled. Almost. "Fair enough," he said. And that was how it began. The story of the war titan and the abandoned bride spread across Titan Station like fire. People loved to talk, and this story had everything. Drama, romance, a villain defeated by love instead of weapons. Within weeks, everyone knew some version of what had happened. Most versions were wrong, of course. Some said Marcus had beaten Kale in single combat. Others said he had threatened to declare war on the entire Scytheran Dominion. A few creative storytellers claimed that Elena herself had thrown Kale out of the apartment with her bare hands. The truth was simpler and more powerful. A man had stood up for his family. He had refused to back down. He had proven that love was stronger than law, stronger than biology, stronger than fear. The Scytheran government sent an official protest to Earth Federation headquarters. They complained about the treatment of High Arbiter Vaughn. They demanded that Marcus Cole be punished for his threats. They insisted that the hybrid child be returned to Scytheran custody. Nothing came of it. The Earth Federation politely informed the Dominion that Marcus Cole was a private citizen acting in defense of his adopted daughter. No laws had been broken. No charges would be filed. The matter was closed. Several admirals sent Marcus private messages of congratulation. One senator offered to adopt Myra herself if it would help protect the child legally. An old friend from the war, now a general, wrote simply, "Good job, old man. You have not lost your fire." Marcus ignored most of this attention. He did not want to be famous again. He did not want to be the war titan. He just wanted to be Papa. 3 years passed. Good years. Peaceful years. Mira grew from a toddler into a little girl. She had her mother's intelligence and her father's stubbornness and something else entirely her own. She asked questions constantly about everything and expected real answers. She hated vegetables but loved fruit. She was terrified of the dark but insisted on exploring every unknown corner of the station. Her lavender skin drew looks wherever she went, but she learned to ignore them. When other children asked why she looked different, she would shrug and say, "Because I am special." No one could argue with that kind of confidence. Marcus taught her everything he knew. He taught her to play chess, and by her 4th birthday, she could beat most adults on the station. He taught her about the stars, naming every constellation visible from their window. He taught her that being strong did not mean hurting others. That true courage was standing up for what was right, even when you were afraid. Elena taught her languages. By 5, Mira could speak Human Standard, Scythian, and basic phrases in 6 other alien tongues. She could read books meant for children twice her age. She wrote stories about space princesses who saved the day with cleverness instead of weapons. It was not always easy. Marcus's health got worse as the years went by. Old wounds that had never healed properly started to hurt again. He moved slower. He got tired faster. Some mornings, he could barely get out of bed, but he never complained. He never let Myra see his pain. Every day, he was there for her. Every day, he was her papa. On Myra's 5th birthday, they had a small party in the apartment. Elena made a chocolate cake with lavender frosting to match Myra's skin. Marcus hung decorations that he was too old to hang. 3 of Myra's friends from school came over, and the apartment was full of laughter and noise. After the party, after the friends had gone home and the cake had been eaten and the presents had been opened, Myra sat on Marcus's lap by the window. Saturn's rings glowed in the distance, beautiful and eternal. "Papa," she said, "I have a question." "You always have questions, little one." Mira was quiet for a moment, which was unusual. She looked out at the stars with her strange, beautiful eyes. "Are you my real dad?" Marcus felt his heart stop. He had been waiting for this question for years. He had practiced answers in his head 1,000 times. But now that the moment had arrived, all those rehearsed words disappeared. "Why do you ask?" He said carefully, "A boy at school said you are not my real dad. He said my real dad is a Scythian who left because he did not want me." Myra's voice was steady, but her eyes were wet. "He said I am not really your daughter because we do not look the same." Marcus took a deep breath. He turned Myra around so they were facing each other. He looked into her eyes, those beautiful brown eyes with their glowing rings, and he spoke from his heart. "Listen to me, Mira. The man who helped make you is called Cale Vorn. He is Scythian. He was married to your mother for a while, and then you were born. But shortly after you came into the world, he left. He made a choice to walk away from you and your mother." Myra's lip trembled. "Because I am not pure?" "No." Marcus's voice was firm. "He left because he was weak. Because he was scared. Because he did not understand what it means to be a father." He touched her face gently. "Being a real dad has nothing to do with blood or skin color or what species you are. Being a real dad means choosing to love someone. It means being there when times are hard. It means putting your child first, always, no matter what." He pulled her closer. "I chose you, Myra. I chose to be your papa the day I met you. And I choose you again every single day. I will choose you until the day I die and beyond." His voice cracked slightly. "You are my daughter. Not because of biology. Not because of law. Because I love you more than anything in this universe." Myra was quiet for a long moment. Then she wrapped her small arms around his neck and hugged him tight. "I love you too, Papa," she whispered. "You are my real dad. I do not care what anyone says." Marcus held his daughter and let the tears fall. He was not ashamed of them. He had earned these tears. Later that night, after Myra was asleep, Marcus found Elena on the balcony. She was looking up at the stars, a glass of wine in her hand. "She asked," Marcus said. Elena nodded. "I heard. You handled it perfectly. I do not feel like I handled anything. I feel like a mess." Elena laughed and took his hand. "That is how you know you are a good parent. The ones who think they have all the answers are the dangerous ones." They stood together in comfortable silence, watching the stars. "Do you ever regret it?" Elena asked. "Taking us in? Getting involved?" Marcus thought about the question seriously. He thought about the pain and the fear and the complications. He thought about Cale's return and the legal threats and the gossip that still followed them. He thought about his failing health and his limited time. "No," he said finally. "Not for 1 second." Elena leaned against him, her head on his shoulder. "Neither do I." Far away, across the galaxy, wars continued. The Scytheran Dominion plotted and planned. Politicians made speeches about unity and peace while preparing for the next conflict. Billions of beings lived and died and struggled without ever knowing that somewhere on a small station near Saturn, an old soldier had found redemption in the eyes of a little girl. The universe was vast and cold and indifferent, but love was bigger. Love was the thing that made humans special. Not their capacity for violence, though that was impressive. Not their technology or their ambition or their stubborn refusal to die quietly. It was love. The ability to look at a child who was not their own and say, "You are mine now, and I will protect you forever." Marcus Cole, the war titan, the butcher of Proxima, humanity's greatest weapon, stood on a balcony with his wife at his side and his daughter, sleeping peacefully in the next room. He was 67 years old. His body was failing. His time was running out, but he was happy. For the first time since he could remember, he was truly, completely happy. And that, in the end, was the most human thing of all. 80 months passed like a dream. Marcus and Elena did not get married. They did not need a ceremony to prove their commitment. They simply lived together, raised Mira together, and built a life together. The apartment became a home. The days became weeks, became months, each one better than the last dot. Mira grew into a beautiful toddler with her mother's smile and her father's curiosity. She called Elena Mama and Marcus Papa, and ran through the apartment on her little lavender legs, laughing at everything and nothing. She learned to count to 20 in 3 languages. She demanded bedtime stories every night and would not sleep until both her parents kissed her. Forehead dot, the people on Titan Station slowly changed their minds about the strange family in Sector 7. Marcus's reputation as the war titan eventually leaked out, and suddenly no one dared to insult Elena or her hybrid daughter. The clerks who had once been cruel now smiled and offered discounts. The neighbors who had once whispered now waved hello and asked about Myra's progress. It was not perfect. Nothing ever is. But it was good. It was more than Marcus had ever expected to have again. Then Calevorn came back. The news arrived first as a rumor. Someone had seen a Scytheran diplomatic ship approaching the station. Someone else had heard that a high-ranking official was requesting landing permission. By the time Marcus learned the name of the visitor, it was too late. Calevorn, former commander, now High Arbiter of the Scytheran Dominion, was on Titan Station, and he wanted to see his daughter. Elena received the official message while Marcus was at work. She called him immediately, her voice shaking. "He is here. Marcus, he is here. He wants to come to the apartment. He says he has legal rights to Myra." Marcus felt his blood turn cold. Then it turned hot. "Very hot. Stay where you are," he said. "Lock the door. Do not let him in until I get there." He left his office and ran. Marcus Cole had not run in years, but he ran now, his old body screaming with pain, his heart pounding against his ribs. He pushed through crowds of people, ignored the shouts of surprise, and made it to the apartment in 7 minutes. He found Elena standing in the living room, Myra clutched to her chest. The little girl was crying, frightened by her mother's fear. Elena's face was pale but determined. "He called again," she said. "He will be here in 10 minutes." Marcus took a deep breath. He walked over to Elena and Myra and put his arms around both of them. "Listen to me," he said softly. "Whatever happens, I will not let him take her. I will not let him hurt either of you. Do you understand?" Elena nodded, her eyes wet with tears. Marcus kissed her forehead, then kissed Myra's forehead too. The little girl stopped crying and looked up at him with her beautiful, strange eyes. "Papa?" she said. "Everything is okay, little one," Marcus told her. "Papa is here. Papa will always be here." The door chimed. Someone was outside, requesting entry. Marcus gently took Myra from Elena's arms. The toddler immediately grabbed his beard and tugged, a game she loved to play. Marcus held her close and turned to face the door. "Open it," he said. Elena took a shaky breath and pressed the control panel. Cale Vorn stood in the doorway. He had changed in the past. 18 months. His silver skin was duller. His 4 eyes looked tired and suspicious. He wore the ceremonial robes of a high arbiter, purple and gold threads woven in complex patterns. He looked powerful and important and completely out of place. His eyes moved from Elena to Marcus to the child in Marcus's arms. His expression shifted from confident to confused to angry in the span of 2 seconds. "Who is this?" Cale demanded, pointing at Marcus. "Elena, who is this man holding my daughter?" Elena stepped forward. She stood between Cale and her family, her small body suddenly looking very large. "This is Marcus Cole," she said. Her voice did not shake anymore. "This is the man who stayed." Cale's face twisted with disgust. "The man who stayed? You mean you have taken a human lover? You have let this old creature touch my child? Your child?" Elena laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You gave up your rights to Myra when you abandoned us. You left us with nothing. You left us to die." "I had no choice," Cale said. "My family demanded. Your family demanded. So you ran." Elena's voice grew louder. "You did not fight for us. You did not try to find another way. You just left a message and disappeared. 80 months, Cale. 80 months without a word. And now you come back and expect what? Forgiveness? Gratitude?" Cale's eyes narrowed. "I expect my daughter. I am her father. Under Scytheran law, you are nothing," Marcus said. His voice was quiet. He did not shout. He did not need to. The words cut through the room like a knife. Cale turned to face him. "You dare speak to me, human? Do you know who I am?" "I know exactly who you are." Marcus shifted Myra to one arm, freeing his other hand. "You are a coward who abandoned his wife and child. You are a weakling who chose his family's approval over his own flesh and blood. You are the man who left, and I am the man who stayed." He stepped forward, and Cale automatically stepped back. The Scytheran was taller than Marcus, younger than Marcus, probably stronger than Marcus. But there was something in the old man's single eye that made him retreat. "I have done many terrible things," Marcus continued. "I have burned worlds for humanity. I have held dying soldiers in my arms and ordered men into battles they could not win. I have killed more beings than you can imagine." He smiled, and the smile held no warmth at all. "But I have never abandoned a child." Cale recovered his courage. "You cannot threaten me. I am a high arbiter of the Scytheran Dominion. I have diplomatic immunity. I have legal rights. Do you think I care about your laws?" Marcus asked. "Do you think I care about your titles? I am Marcus Cole. I am the War Titan. I am the Butcher of Proxima. I ended the Kethrani species. I burned their homeworlds to ash." He leaned closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. "What do you think I will do to protect my daughter?" For a long moment, no one spoke. Mira babbled happily, unaware of the tension, playing with her papa's beard. "You want a legal battle?" Marcus said. "I have lawyers who owe me their lives. Senators and admirals who would do anything I asked. 3 different intelligence agencies that still send me birthday cards." He straightened up. "You want to fight me? Then fight me. But know this, I will use every favor, every connection, every weapon I have. I will destroy your career, your reputation, and your precious family name. And in the end, I will still have Myra, and you will have nothing." Kale's silver face went pale. He looked at Elena, searching for support, but she just stared back at him with cold eyes. "I am her biological father," he said weakly. "Biology is the least important thing about being a parent." Marcus held Myra closer. "I have fed her every morning for the past year. I have sung her to sleep every night. I have taught her to walk, to talk, to laugh. I have been there for every fever, every nightmare, every scraped knee. I am her father. You are just a man who helped make her." Kale stood in the doorway, defeated. All his power, all his titles, all his legal rights meant nothing against the simple truth Marcus had spoken. "I came back to make things right," he said finally. "My family has fallen. The coup that overthrew them, I spent a year fighting for my life. I thought if I returned, we could start over." "You thought wrong," Elena said. "Go home, Kale. There's nothing for you here." Kale looked at Myra one last time. The little girl stared back at him with curious eyes, no recognition on her face. She did not know this stranger. She did not care about this stranger. She turned to Marcus and said, "Papa, hungry." Something broke in Kale's expression. Without another word, he turned and walked away. The door closed behind him with a soft click. Marcus let out a breath he had not known he was holding. Elena rushed to him, wrapping her arms around both him and Myra. "Is it over?" She whispered. "It is over," Marcus said. "He will not come back." "How do you know?" Marcus kissed the top of her head. "Because he saw the truth. He saw that Myra does not need him. She has us." Elena laughed through her tears. "You were amazing," she said. "Terrifying, but amazing." Marcus looked down at Myra, who was now demanding food with increasing volume. "I meant every word," he said. "I would burn the galaxy down for this little girl." Elena smiled and took Myra from his arms. "I know," she said. "That is why I love you." She carried Myra to the kitchen, leaving Marcus alone by the door. He stood there for a moment, feeling the adrenaline slowly fade from his body. He was 64 years old. He was tired and broken and running out of time. But today, he had protected his family. Today, he had been a father. And that was worth everything.